Have you ever stood up against a bully? What was the result? Yep. She was known in school as a tough girl. I stood up to her at high school house party back in the 80s. She was always fucking with me for no reason, any chance she got, and I never did anything about it. Until that night. Everyone was fucked up on coke and booze, and she started her shit again. I'd had it at that point, and threw my beer directly in her face. Her jaw hit the floor, and there was a collective gasp throughout the room. I simply said, "Let's go, right fucking now, you dirty cunt." She ran out of the house and didn't come back to the party, and never fucked with me again. Everyone was like, "Holy balls," laughing and high-fiving me. I ran into her about 20 years later at a gathering, no coke this time, and she was super sweet to me. I asked her if she remembered being an asshole and getting a beer thrown in her face by me. She said, "Yeah, I wasn't expecting that." I got a good chuckle out of it. Story 2. 4th grade, kid on the bus kept picking on me. I had had enough where I didn't care if I got beat up. I called him out and told him to meet me in the nearby field 15 minutes after we got off the bus. We lived near each other and had the same bus stop. If I was going to get beat up, I didn't need everyone watching, hence the 15 minutes. Anyways, I show up, and so does he, but he is across the field looking at the ground. He says, "How did this all get started?" I said, "Some dipshit was making fun of me." I honestly can't remember what else was said, it was 30 years ago, but I remember him saying some sort of apology and me saying something along the lines of "whatever, don't do it again," and that was it. We didn't speak of it after. We still went to school together, but never in the same circles. Actually ran into him in Vegas when we were 25. Seemed like a different guy. Shot the shit for a few minutes, met his wife, and then parted ways again. Story 3. Straight face. This guy I knew, Ben, was in some trouble with some HS loan sharks. Being a kid that would pretty much never spend his lunch money just because he wasn't hungry, I helped Ben pay off his loan sharks. Afterwards, he vowed to pay me every time he saw me in school from then on, even when I told him it wasn't necessary. He kept that promise for as long as we were both in school. Hell, he even went out of his way and approached me to settle this on most circumstances. Later on I discovered that he actually did stand up to this loan shark, fought him, and won rather quickly/easily. We were both C+ students at best and weren't very good at money management at the time, in case that weren't obvious enough, so to this day, I still don't know for sure if he paid his dues, gave interest, or is still in debt to me, but I can confidently say that this was one of the most wholesome experiences I ever had throughout high school. Story 4. There was a kid who had been picking on me for a few weeks in 6th grade. Not like taking lunch money or anything like that, just would push me when we walked past each other and talk shit sometimes. He seemed like a rougher kid, one of those who was happy to get into fights, so I was pretty scared of him. I knew if we actually got into a fight I'd lose. One day I wasn't having it and said fuck it. He shoulder checked me as he walked by and I put my hands on his chest and pushed him into a wall. We ended up fighting for a minute or two. It wasn't as one-sided as I thought it would have been. We both walked away feeling like we'd done well, I guess. Strangest thing is after that, not only did he never fuck with me, he actually went out of his way to be my friend. It wasn't like he was scared of me, it just seemed like he wanted to be friends. He'd say hi if he saw me in the hallway, or if he heard a funny joke he'd come tell me. Story 5. During elementary school, I stood up to a bully far larger than myself and he very easily beat me up. I decided to become his best friend afterwards and used him to keep the other bullies away. I was friends with the biggest bully and the popular bully. Nobody really bothered me. During high school, I moved to a different school than everyone. I started doing MMA as a hobby, but had no real bully problems until 12th grade. I organized a formal fight with him in the bathroom. The idiot was far bigger and taller than me, but he lacked any formal training. He also literally decided to corner himself in the bathroom before the fight began. He ended up hitting his head against the wall a few times and blacking out. I nearly got expelled. When I came back, other bullies started wanting to pick a fight with me, seeing as I was now a tough guy. Elementary school bully dealing tactic, worth. Dude was a pretty good and loyal friend. High school bully dealing tactic, not worth. I had someone from another school come and try to kick me in the back of the head trying to start a fight. Really don't recommend. Story 6. I did. In middle school, this one particular girl went at me in the lunch line every day for the first 2 months I was there. She didn't know me. She'd come from another school, so I had no idea what her problem was with me. She would push me into the wall. I probably weighed 70 pounds, soaking wet. I was very small for my age, hold my face against the wall and demand that I won, let her break the line so she could get ahead of everyone too, pay for her food, which was impossible as I was a reduced lunch recipient and never had extra money. We were pretty poor. I finally couldn't take that anymore. It was really getting to me, so one day she repeated her whole routine and I simply told her, no. Which with my face pressed into the cinder block wall of the cafeteria came out more like nerve. She pushed my face into the wall even more and asked, "What did you just say to me?" I said nerve. Let me gr. She backed up about 2 feet and I was sure she was going to punch me. She was at least 18 inches taller than I was, so hitting me wouldn't be a tough thing to do. She cocked her head to the right, looked me up and down and said, "Fine. I'll let you go today, but you better know I'm watching you." She never bothered me again, not once. As a matter of fact, she intervened for me a couple of times with some really nasty-mouthed boys who were saying terrible things about me and my friend. My bully didn't become my friend, but she became a frenemy. Even in high school, years later, we were always cordial to each other. But she never messed with me again after that incident in the cafeteria. I have no idea why. Story 7. One day I snapped and I hit back. At this point I was 14 and had done martial arts for coming on a decade. I got maybe 3 punches and before 3 other lads in the year above dragged me off him out of fear I'd do him serious harm. I want to stress I was a scrawny arse kid and these 3 guys were all rugby players. It took all 3 of them to hold on me down. Honestly, I can't even remember anything after charging him. All I know is after that I wasn't ever bullied again. Someone tried once on the bus while I sat down and he stood over me. Gut bottled in, I grabbed his wrist and stared him down. I'm not for violence, but I've actually said a few times today in this thread. If you're getting bullied and your schools is letting you down, you hit back. You hit back hard. Story 8. He used to bully me for being his tiny white girl. Pushed me around, called me names, stole my money, took things from my backpack. It was terrible. I was small and mousy, and he was at least a foot taller than me and always had an equally sized entourage. One day I felt a shove against my back in the school hallway. Oh no. Here we go again. He pushed me again. And then I heard it. Yo. Yo yo, push her again. Push her again. I guess I just snapped. I was carrying a hardback copy of one of the Twilight books. I swung it around and hit him as hard as I could in the chest. It bounced off as a crowd formed around us. He squared up to me like he was going to kill me, but slunk around me glaring instead. Someone picked my book up and gently handed it back to me as the crowd dispersed quietly. I was looking over my shoulder for the rest of the school year, but he never bothered me again. Not once. Story 9. When I was in middle school, I had pretty long hair. One dude decided it is a great idea to try to light my hair on fire with a lighter. Fortunately, it only got burned a little. When I realized what is happening, I got up and basically said loudly, "You fucking dick." Teacher reacted with something like, "What are you saying?" But I quickly explained what just happened. Funny thing, she said that he must really be a dick to do something like that. After that, this guy got in big trouble. Next period he came to desk I was sitting at with my friend, basically smashed his hand on the desk and said something like, "Now you fucked up," and in general gave me that "I'm gonna beat you up" look, so I looked back right into his eyes and just said "fuck off." I don't know what kind of stare I gave him, but this dude, who I must say, was stronger than me for sure, literally got scared. I mean, he literally straightened up, turned around and just walked away, then sit at his desk, looked back at me, and when he saw me looking at him, he quickly turned around. I think that was the only moment in my life when I got such reaction from someone.